So in the last video, we started designing the debit card section. So in this video, we're going to, in the last video, we created the HTML structure. So in this video, we're going to create the styling using CSS. But before we start, so let's complete the get started. So this is going to be a button. So we're supposed to surround it within the body, within the button element. So in HTML, there is an element called button. So you just write it like this. So the get started is going to be surrounded within it. So let's save it. So let's back to the browser, refresh to see. You see we have something like this. So now let's quickly go back to the index. So let's give the main div that is housing both the debit card and the image. So let's give it an ID. So let's call it debit card. So inside our CSS, so this particular debit card, we're going to make it the layout to be 2 columns. So we'll be using CSS to achieve something like that. So let's copy it. So let's go back to the style.css. Okay. So since this is an ID, so £. Okay. So now let's start writing it. The display is going to be grid. Okay. Then the column template template columns. So let's say we want 2 columns, so 1 FR, 1 FR. Okay. And we want the grid template rows to be auto, and we want the gap to be 20 pixel, and we want the items to be aligned at center, and we want to have a general padding of 2% with both left, right, and bottom and top. So padding, let's say 2%. Okay. So now let's save it. Let's go back to the browser, refresh. You see we have something like this. Okay, so actually now the design is much more better. So now let's quickly improve on the design. So this particular div that is housing the debit card information, so let's create a custom class they call the content text and apply it. Then we are going to style it. Then this particular section, this get button, we are going to style and work on it. So let's go back to the index.html and improve the design. So we're going to start first by giving this particular div a class. So let's call it content text. Okay, and this particular div that is housing the button. So let's give it a class of the padding. This class. Then the button, let's give it a class. Since we already want to make the text to be okay, let's just give it a class get start button. So later in the CSS, we are going to add the styling. So in the CSS, we are going to add the styling of get start button and the content text. Okay. So now let's go back to the CSS and update the code. So now let's save it. And this. So let's start now. So this for the debit card. So now let's start with the content text. So now let's give it margin left of 25%. So let's save it. Let's go back to the browser, refresh. You see we have something like this. Okay, now let's start working on styling this get started button. Okay, so get started. So let me just copy it here so that I will not have a mistake here. So let me copy it. Okay, paste it here. So let's write the styling. So we want the background color. We want it to have that particular green. So let's say 00 BC74. So this color I want, and we want the color, the write up color to be white. And then I want to give it a padding. So I want to give it a padding top and bottom to be 1.8%, and I want right and left to be 0%. I don't want any padding. So let me just say 1. Let me say 1% too. Okay, 1%. So let me say give it a border. Let me give it a border 1 pixel solid. I want the color to be same as the background color, so 00 EC74, and I want to give it a border radius. Border radius is going to create a curve within the corner. So let me just put it so you see it. Let me give it 10 pixel. Right, so let's save it. So let's go back to the browser, refresh to see, just for you to see the effect. I see this border radius is the thing that has make the corner to be curved, for instance. So if you want a particular corner to be curved, you can specify, let's say border top left, border top bottom, for instance, depending on the corner that you want. But in this case, we would want it to be the 5 pixel. So let's save it. Okay, so let's leave it like this. Okay, so lastly, let's just decrease the size of the image. This image is still too big, since the image here, the image is within the debit card div, so we can just select it. So we can just select and from any of the IMG that is within the debit card. So now let's go back. So debit card, then IMG. Okay, so now I want to give it the width. I want to reduce the width to 90%. So let's save it. Let's go back to the browser and refresh, and we see we have something like this. Okay, at least the design is much more better. So in the next video, we are going to continue working on this personal account. So we'll meet in our next video.